of fog and rain, they could see the outlines of human figures, hundreds, edging closer. "That does not look like wind to me, old man," Wolfstan snapped. "This is no time to joke, boy. We could be under attack." "Why do they carry no torches?" "I suspect they're using the storm as cover. But why do they not attack us while we're vulnerable? They must have seen us, and they're far more than our number. It's the whole village they're after, I'll warrant. Back to the hall, quickly." As they fled back to the hall, the wind picked up yet more, and Cadman thought that he could smell rancid meat. That inhuman moaning, faint before, but now perfectly clear, followed at their heels. The hall doors were still wide open when they returned through the fog and driving rain. Though they all tried, the big hunks of oak were too heavy and caught too much wind. The main entrance would stay open. "What is going on?" demanded a woman, tall and blonde. "We're under attack," Theodric said, "and we can't get the doors closed for the wind. Put those benches up against the entrance. Ready your weapons. Let's see what sort of men we face." They built a barricade of tables and benches a few feet inside the mead hall, and a line of fighters, men and women both, stood across the span of the doors with shield, sword, axe, and spear. "That smell is horrible," someone shouted over the storm and the moaning. "Like bad meat. And that moaning, like the tortures of the underworld or the wolves of hell itself." Dim figures stepped out of the fog and into the flickering torchlight. Lightning flashed again, revealing a mass of such figures that stretched all the way to the end of the valley. Theodric raised up his sword and shouted, "Hail there! Do you mean us good or ill?" He got no answer. Cadman scratched his thick beard introspectively. He said, "I think that the keening and the smell are coming from our new friends." "What do you mean?" "Watch this." Cadman hefted his axe and stepped out into the storm. One of the figures drew close enough for them to see that it was a man, but with mottled gray skin covered in mud and gore. Its left arm hung limply at its side, and in its right hand it clutched a cobblestone. Its mouth opened menacingly, and it let out a horrible moan. Cadman swung his axe, and the hard steel bit deep into the beast's shoulder, lopping off the limp arm and severing the spine. It fell to the ground with its lower body as limp as a dead fish, but its jaws kept snapping, and it kept coming, pulling itself along on the ground with its one good arm. "Dead," Cadman shouted as he returned. "As dead as stones, but up and walking around." "It's the end times come," someone keened. "The last battle is near at hand." Theodric shook his head. "I doubt that. That does not mean that this is any good." Lightning flashed again. They saw that the hall was surrounded. "We will divide up into two groups. One will fight while the other rests." He turned to the woman who'd addressed him upon their return. "Hilda, see to our stores." They lined up with their shields tight together and their swords brandished. The creatures came on them slowly, biting, scratching, blindly swinging cobblestones and sticks of stove wood. The warriors hacked, slashed, and stabbed with their weapons, but the reeking beasts pressing against their shields didn't seem even to notice. Occasionally an arm or spine would be severed, but it seemed to have little effect. Sensing something odd, Wolfstan looked down and saw a creature that had been slashed nearly in two, its legs dragging along limply, but all its faculties above the cut still functioning, trying to wrap a hand around one of his thick boots. With a grunt, he raised his foot and brought it crashing down on the creature's head, which burst like a carbuncle. Its body lay still. Exclaiming with the excitement of discovery, Wolfstan reared back with his sword and shouted above the wind, above the rain, above the sounds of battle, and above the horrible moaning, "Their heads! Go for the heads!" To illustrate his point, he swung his sword forward and struck a creature clean between the eyes. The powerful blow shattered bone and sheared flesh, splitting the thing's skull nearly to the teeth. The other warriors howled with approval and followed suit. Thus they fought for nearly 5 hours without let-up, until Theodric sheathed his sword and shouted, exhausted, "Cadman, spell us!" The exhausted fighters walked back to the welcome hearth fire, changed out of their wet clothes, sharpened their notched and dulled swords, tried desperately to catch a few minutes' sleep and to shake some warmth into their numb bodies. Theodric nursed a wounded hand. I think they hunger for us, he said. The lore says that the dead are always hungry, that they hunger for life while hating the living. One of the sons of whores bit me, nearly took my thumb off. That was good thinking, Wolfstan, how to bring them down. I just thought about what Cadman had said, Wolfstan responded. They're dead. They're all messed up. Hilda came up and handed Theodric a drinking horn full of warm beer. She said, "We should have enough meat and drink to last a full month at least." Theodric shook his head. "Will not be enough." "Not enough?" Wolfstan scoffed. "It's no trouble for us to hold the door. Surely we'll be fine until help arrives." "From where, Wolfstan, will help come? From the same direction as those things? Surely not. From Wiglaf's villages over the ridge? You know as well as I that raiders press him from the sea, and he has no men to spare. We are alone in our little valley." "What will we do, then?" The old man scoffed. "We will die, Wolfstan. But I would like to die fighting, if at all possible." "My lord," interjected Hilda, "there is something you can do." "And what is that?" "If you gather your forces and meet them—" "Meet them? Are you insane, woman? We have 13 men, and there are hundreds of them out there. Hundreds!" Hilda sighed and spoke slowly as one might speak to a child. "The hall is a death trap, my lord. We will die in glory, to be sure, but what is it that Cadman is always singing? The lame rides a horse, the handless is herdsman, the deaf in battle is bold. The blind man is better than one that is buried. No good can come from a corpse." And Theodric said, "To form up and meet them would kill us just as well. We can live a few more weeks at least, holding the door. These beasts are slow, and the arts of fighting are beyond them. We can form up around the children and escape. They are slow, but they number in the hundreds, and we know not how many may be waiting in the hills. They'll pull us down like dogs loosed on swine." Hilda thought for a moment.